Today on Pro Church Daily, we're talking about 7 indispensable photography tools for churches.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Pro Church Daily, the show where in 10 minutes or less, you're going to get your daily dose of tips and tactics to help your church share the message of Jesus while we navigate the biggest communication shift we've seen in 500 years. I'm joined. To my right, your left, it's Alex Mills, and we're talking today about 7 indispensable photography tools for churches.
Yeah, Brady, we love putting together these listicles.
We are pro-church tools.
Yeah, and so we'll do these for all different kinds of tools that your church can use. And, photography is my wheelhouse. And we really believe in photography for your church, and how important real photos of real people at your church are. And so I just collected some of my favorite tools that I think your church can and should be using. Get them into your hands. We're going to have links for all of these tools in the show notes below. So let's jump right in. So we have 7 tools we're going to talk about today. And before we get into this first tool, which is a camera body, I just want to talk about full frame cameras versus mirrorless cameras for a second. I'm suggesting a full frame DSLR camera body for this reason for your church, is that when you buy a full frame camera, there's a lot better quality glass that's available for DSLR cameras than there are for mirrorless cameras right now.
And by glass, you mean lenses?
Lenses. Okay. And so, and I adopt this philosophy for myself. I invest a lot more in lenses than I do for DSLR camera bodies, because tech is always just, rapidly changing for camera bodies. But camera glass, camera lenses are transcendent almost. They can last as long as you can keep them around. And so I'm buying camera bodies and switching them out all the time, but I'm always using that glass. And so I want you to buy for your church a DSLR full frame camera body. Full frame because you're going to get the most light possible out of a DSLR, but you're also going to be able to swap that body out when there's new tech available, but keep using the lenses that you own. And so I
the most shallow depth of field.
Exactly. And so I have 2 options. One's a bit of an entry level, and next is a pro level. And I'm a Canon shooter, so I chose Canon examples for the sake of this video, but there are great cameras from other brands like Nikon and Sony and Fuji and all these other brands, and they're all going to have competitive bodies within this price range. So if you're a Nikon...
Can I ask you this question?
Of course.
Does a full frame body, because I don't know, are they like a ton more expensive than a mirrorless or something else?
I think you're going to be able to, they do tend to be a little bit more expensive, but you are going to be able to find a full frame body within your price range. And so that's why I've included 2.
So it's not like every full frame starts at 4K.
Right.
Okay.
And so the first option I have is the Canon 6D Mark II. That's retailing for $1,600 on Amazon right now. So that's an entry level body. And like I said, you have such a wide range of lenses available for that camera. If you have the budget and you want to step it up, I'd recommend the Canon 5D Mark IV that retails for about $3,100 just for the body. So it is pricey, but that's a pro level DSLR. You won't be disappointed in that body. And you're going to love the 6D Mark II as well. It just depends where your budget is. Like I said, there are competitive bodies in other brands. So whatever brand you like, go with that. But those are the 2 Canon bodies that I would recommend. Next, I recommend you buy a fast lens. And by that, I mean a lens that has a very low aperture. And in this case, I chose the 50 millimeter 1.8. So that means you're going to get the most light possible, because in churches, when you're doing photography in church, sometimes your building is dark. You've got the lights turned off during your service, and you need the most light available to you. So you want to get a fast lens, and that's indicated in that 1.8 number. This 50 millimeter lens is cheap. It's small. It retails for about $125 on Amazon.
Wow.
You can pick one up. They're super small and compact. And what I like about the 50 millimeter focal range on a full frame body is that it's actually the most accurate representation of what you see with your eye.
Yes.
And so I'm seeing you at about the equivalent of 50 millimeters. And so that's why I love that lens. It's super fast. You're going to get a ton of light and for a very minimal investment.
And this is the type of lens that lets you blur out the background.
Yeah.
Where you get that bokeh look.
Exactly.
And that's one of the ways that you can separate your quality of photographs.
Yes.
We now have portrait mode in a lot of our phones, and we're just seeing that tech now come to mobile devices. But if you can get that blurred out background, that's like a trademark look of, oh, that's quality.
Yeah. So you've bought your camera, you've bought your lens, you're going to need to clean that lens. It's something that often gets overlooked.
I overlook this all the time.
But you have to clean that lens, and it doesn't take a lot of money to do so. Get on Amazon or click the link in the show notes below and get yourself some lens pens. There's a kit on Amazon that I pulled up for $15. Lens pen is a brand.
Oh, cool.
And these things are awesome. They're literally the size of a pen, and they have two sides. One is like a gentle brush, and the other is kind of like a convex felt that you can rub right on your lens.
Yeah.
These are the best cleaning solutions I've found for lenses, and so I'd recommend picking up some lens pens. So you've got your camera, you've got your cleaning equipment, you're going to need a carrying case. Now, we've talked about Low Pro before. It's one of our favorite brands of backpacks, but for your church, I'm going to recommend a Pelican Case.
A classic.
Yes, and the reason I recommend that is because these things are indestructible. Directly from the Pelican website, they say they're unbreakable, watertight. One of them I was reading is even waterproof up to like 1 meter. You can just throw this thing underwater.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why you would, but you can. They're airtight, they're dustproof, they're chemical resistant, corrosion proof, and they're fully customizable. A lot of these Pelican cases have these foam inserts, and you can either just cut out the foam, depending on what gear you have, or order like modular foam that they've designed for your gear. And so these things are indestructible no matter who is, throwing this gear around at your church. If it's in the Pelican Case, it's going to be safe. Now, you've got your gear, you've got your case. Now you actually have to take some photos. And I know what it's like to take photos in church. If you're taking photos in the same building every week, it can get a little redundant. It can maybe even get a little stale because it's always the same environment.
Repetitiveness, like I gotta make this feel new again.
Exactly. So there's this really cool tool that I use. Again, you can pick it up for $11 off of Amazon. And it's called a Neewer. Or Neewer, Neewer.
Neewer. Is that I think how it's actually pronounced.
And it's all it is a triangular glass prism. And you say, Alex, what are you going to use that for? Well, if you take this triangular glass prism and you hold it in front of your lens, you can get these light refractions. And if you're shooting with that 51.8 at like that fast aperture, you can get like these glares and this color fringe and play with the bokeh and get some very cool effects in camera that you couldn't produce with anything else.
Right.
And so I have one of these. Brandon, another guy in the office, has one of these he uses for video, and just like unlocks another dimension of creativity, especially if you're in a space that you're taking photos all the time.
I remember we were in Hawaii and Brandon pulls out this prism and I'm like, oh, did you bring Alex's prism? He's like, this is like $8. I bought it myself. I was like, oh, cool. And we were with another guy named Alex, another photographer named Alex, and he's looking at this prism and Brandon's like, so if I hold it this way and I take the photo with my other hand, I can actually invert the image and infract the flare. It's like, I don't know what they're saying. And then I saw the photo. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So really cool things with an $11 piece of gear.
Of course. And you can actually even do this for free. And I'll do this on portrait sessions or weddings all the time is I'll take like a piece of foliage. If we're outdoors, I'll take a piece of foliage. So whether it's a leaf or like a flower that's consistent with the color palette, and I'll hold it directly up against my lens just to get that color. It kind of blurs it out and just add a pop of natural color from the environment to add another like natural element. Like I created that in camera. It's not something artificial that I added in post. And so the Prism just helps achieve that as well.
Very cool.
Yeah. Another tool that's great for churches, again, super cheap. You can pick this up for $45 off of Amazon, is a backdrop kit. And so I love using these for like themed events. If you're having a youth night or whatever it is, and you want to do like a little photo booth, you can buy this backdrop kit that comes with, these 2 tripod stands and a bar, and you can pick whatever kind of backdrop you want. If you want solid color, if you want simulated wood, whatever. And you can get more expensive ones with more options. Maybe it comes with multiple backdrops, but set this up as a mobile photo booth, and it's tons of fun. It's a great way to engage people, and you could brand these as well. I've seen churches order custom backdrops that are branded, and then people are taking these photos that you took of them, putting them on social, and reaching other people with your brand that you never would have reached. And so that's a little bit more of an investment to get a branded one, but having a backdrop kit of any sort is great for these kind of mobile photo booths. And our last tool, number 7, is editing software. You have all your gear, you're learning how to take photos, you've got your backdrop kit, but you have to get these photos on the computer, you have to edit them and get them ready to share. And so you can do this one of a whole bunch of ways, but I've chosen 2 today. The first editing software we're going to talk about is free. It's called GIMP, GIMP, and it's an editing software that honestly rivals Photoshop. It is that good, but it's free. You'll never pay a cent for it. And it's super powerful, super intuitive. It looks just like Photoshop. It works
does.
very similar. And it's everything, honestly, that you could ever need. But if your church has an existing subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud or something you have personally, I do recommend Lightroom for editing and Photoshop for retouching. Those two programs work cohesively back and forth. You can send from Lightroom to Photoshop from within the program. I use Lightroom every day. I think it's the best, and that's available in the Adobe Creative Cloud.
7 indispensable photography tools for churches. That'll do it for this episode of Pro Church Daily. We'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching today's episode of Pro Church Daily. We'd love it if you subscribe to this channel. Join Pro Church Nation. It'd mean the world to us.
Hey, and just between me and you, I know you like this video. So why don't you tell us? Hit the like button.
Hit the like button.
Whoa. No.
I'm so tired.